Armada Book 7 Chapter 3 The Lost Armada Part 1. Earlier, Andrew and Linda intended to go back to the planet Los Angeles of their dimension. Andrew went in with 50 ships. Beige Ellie beamed to Andrew's bridge. "Sir, we were able to throw Hyrule back to where we came from. But when I tried to open our address where we came from, the place was different. I tried to open the address of planet Los Angeles and I got a different dimension. I opened Roger's dimension and it was also different. My people are running diagnostics now on all our DGs. Green Alan, Green Tony, Gray Roger, Beige Eric, Beige Jenny, and Linda beams into Andrew's bridge. Beige Ellie repeated what she said. My people tell me that we could be in a different time stream where this universe is flowing that is so far from our own time stream. It's okay, Ellie, we'll just ask the locals to beam us back. Olive, where are the locals by the way? Andrew asked. Andrew, we are near the location of our planet Denver. But the planet Denver here is not occupied. Olive said. Move the Armada towards Earth. Are we all complete and intact? Yes, all our ships and people are accounted for. Andrew, I think we should start sending our drones to get a lay of this place. I want to send them all the way to the Max, Norsets, Inkeys and Marantais. Roger said. I agree. It makes sense to see what we can do here since we are already here. Eric said. Aren't you guys worried that we may not at all get back? Alan asked. I think we can figure things out sooner or later. In the meantime, I agree with Roger. Let's investigate this place. Olive, tell the ships to send out the drones. Andrew said. Scan shows planet Berlin and planet Tokyo appear to be very developed. Scanners show 10 very large space stations around planet Tokyo and 16 around planet Berlin. Olive said as she created several holos. We may be in a very advanced time stream. Tony said. 12 ships, Vinta size, are leaving this area. They were parked near a gas planet. These may be the ships that opened the DG. Olive said. Beige Ellie pointed to the holo, tell them Olive. We would have to slow down to 2% of our speed. Just move over to their position along their direction. Andrew said. They are all headed towards Earth. The ships are maintaining speed towards Earth. They are still within beaming range. Can we send infiltrators in? Eric asked. Andrew, their shields are all down. Olive said, waiting for Andrew. Send our ghosts operatives. They are now beaming into various parts of the 12 ships. After a few minutes, the ghosts operatives say it's safe to send hackers and taggers in. Olive said. Andrew nodded and, send them all out. I told my people to beam over to where their DG equipment are and study these. Beige Ellie said. Several holos appeared showing various scenes inside the ships. First, they do not seem to have Max and Inkeys with them. Strange. Although I like their uniform. Alan said. The Trunties are moving in to read their minds. I told them to concentrate on the bridge and science people. Beige Ellie said. Are they cloaked or not? Linda asked. Linda, they are all cloaked. The cloaking frequency is similar to an old Maccabee frequency. Scan of the ship structure put the ships nearest to the Maccabee type of ships than anything else. They all continued to watch the holos and after a little over an hour, Earth will be in beaming range in 10 minutes. All our people are back except for Ellie's people. Olive declared. I do not recognize any of their leaders. Do you guys see anybody you know? Andrew asked. They all agreed that they do not know any of the people in the holos. My people tell me they have found 3 DG ships and are now studying them. Beige Ellie said. Ellie, why don't you just steal those 3 ships and beam them to our hangar bays? This way we can use them to return home. They could provide our one chance to get back home. Alan said. I don't think we want to go home at this time. Beige Ellie countered. I agree. Andrew said. To which did you agree? Alan asked. I agree that we should stay for a while and nosy around. This may in fact be a dimension that is at least 150 years ahead of ours and we could learn something. Andrew said. You always do that, sir. Beige Ellie said. Which one? Alan asked. He always wants to learn something. Beige Ellie said. Linda shouted, I cannot believe this. What? Linda? Linda pointed to one holo. As they looked at the crowd in the bridge they saw a familiar figure. Not another Ellie. Beige Ellie groaned. Andrew laughed. See, we learned that there is another Ellie. Wait, she looks a bit old, maybe by 10 years at least. How old are you, Ellie? Sir, you already know how old I am. Beige Ellie said. I know how old my Ellie is, but you may be younger. Andrew said. I am younger. But I do not want to hurt your Ellie's feelings. Fair enough. Andrew said. The others laughed. Ellie, why don't you beam over to her and touch her? Feel her out. Linda suggested. I would absolutely love to do that. If she feels me, she might get confused. All the better. Linda said, and they all laughed. Ellie, you can talk to us while you're touching her. She will feel you, but she's not telepathic. Andrew said, and Ellie nodded. The holo showed Ellie in beige Armada uniform touching local Ellie. A Trunty was also touching local Ellie. How is it that there are more Ellies in the dimensions than me or Eric? Roger asked. There are also less of me and less of Alan. And Billy is always getting killed. Andrew said, and they all laughed. Are you married, Tony? Linda asked. Nope, was engaged once and did not pan out, so I am still single. Why? I know who you will marry. The group looked at Linda except for Andrew, who was looking at Ellie at one of the 3 holos showing the 2 Ellies floating in front of them. Who? Tony asked. Her name is Layla Abatis, and you will fall in love with each other the moment you see each other. Andrew said while looking at the holos. I don't think so. Tony said. Andrew looked at Tony. How about a bet? Boss, I was going to say that. Linda said. I might lose. I know you two are setting me up. So no bets for me. What would you give us for the intel we will give you? Linda asked. I have nothing of value to trade. I do not own anything here. Okay, no more bets. I just realized the timeline here is much more advanced, so the Layla here may be too old for you. Andrew said. Boss, I think some of us should move over to the Crimson planet so we can integrate them with ours. Eric suggested. Good idea, Eric. Tony, why don't you and I go over there and make contact? Alan said. I agree. Take 10 ships with you. Along the way, can you pass by Rodin's planet? The guy may still be lost. Andrew said. Beige Ellie beamed in before Alan and Tony can leave. Sir, Ellie here is actually 165 years older than your Ellie. The DG window was a science experiment on how far their calibration can reach. I know the address and we can just steal their whole ship and my people will open a DG for us to go home. Well, we are not going home. Okay, Andrew, Tony and I will go to the Crimson planet and also look for Rodin at his planet. Alan said. So the longer lives ages you but not a lot. Andrew said. And I felt something else. They looked at her. Wait, she's married to David? Linda conjectured. Yes, you're absolutely right. But that is not what I felt. Beige Ellie continued. First of all, she's just a mid-level researcher. She's very anxious, actually, very uncomfortable with the Maccabees. Somehow I felt that she felt fear towards her boss and colleagues. A Maccabee armada of 10,000 ships arrived at their planet more than 250 years ago. At first the whole planet was in invasion mode, but after a few years, the scenario changed. The Maccabees became their benefactors, technology sources, and part of their leadership. The Maccabee ships have long left them and a small contingent of 100 ships are stationed near planet Tokyo and planet Berlin. Their interplanetary leaderships are not on Earth but in planet Tokyo. The Maccabees prevented them to leave a sphere of about 1 BLY and they have not done so because it takes forever for their ships to reach the 1 BLY limit. The Maccabees tell them that beyond the frontier, as they call these limits, lies evil and very aggressive species they might get into a war with or who could enslave them. And that the Maccabees have negotiated a truce with these species and ended up with the 1 BLY limit in one direction and 10 BLY in another. Andrew turned to Jenny. Jenny, Eric, I think you should fly over to where Rodin is and go to the Inky galaxies to see what's up. Take 10 ships with you. Alan and Tony nodded. I'm curious, why 10 BLY on another? Linda asked. The Maccabees actually control a lot of the human planets towards their direction. Olive, please show the area covered by the Maccabees. A hollow appeared across the bridge. So they control the Rosies, the Karakis and their area, the Romits and the Jectinox. Andrew said, looking at the holos. They could all be devastated. Linda said. Linda, Roger, I think you guys send out our probes to the Maccabee sphere. Take 10 ships and fly over to these areas and nosy around. Andrew said. Tabuda appeared before them. Andrew, bad news. A hollow of a planet appeared. Just don't rap and it will be good. Sure, I won't, so you'll be in the mood. The group laughed. We hacked into Ellie's main system and all their information, we have them. One planet within the 1 BLY sphere is a Mac planet. Their information on this planet is to exclude this from their net. The whole planet has a plague and the Macs are suffering. But the Maccabees stopped all help that they could bring. In fact, Ellie suspects the Maccabees caused the plague in the planet because she found the plague virus in her ship's database even before they found out about the planet. All ships avoid this planet because nobody wants to get infected. Andrew felt Tabuda rapped on him, so the plague may not be as telling as the Maccabees are saying. Don't rap on me, Andrew. They all laughed. That could be. But I would send several dozen probes for us to see. Beige Ellie said. Andrew looked at her and felt that was a short rap. There is something odd that we found. They have no real military in all the planets around. They have police and that's it. To address an invasion, these would not be fit. Even the police have no weapons, just stun guns. This could be a result of an advanced society where it has become very orderly. Ellie said. I want to see and talk to their rebels. This alone would ring a lot of bells. Roger said, and Andrew thought that was a basic rap. Olive, where are the rebels? Andrew asked. I have scanned the ice caps and there are a lot of people underneath the mountains under the ice. These could be the rebels. The only way to go into these is via TPs they have installed at several locations. There are more than 2 million on both ice caps. How about other cave systems or tunnels under the cities? Ellie's ships found some people in caves underneath Colorado. There are also people living underneath the cities, in old structures underneath the new and modern structures. You're quick, Olive. Roger said. This is SOP for all our ships, Roger. The ship's commanders have also sent our Max to these areas a few minutes ago. Okay, you got me there, Olive. Andrew stood from his chair and leaned on the bar beside his chair. I think this dimension would have the same bad issues. It's a bit different because the Maccabees had a long head start. It would be nice to see how an advanced Earth would look like. Ellie said. After the Crimson, Tony and I would move over to the Mac galaxies and see what's up. Alan said. I agree. Andrew said. They all agreed again and beamed out, leaving Ellie and Tabuda with Andrew. Then Ellie and Tabuda beamed out. The next day, Ellie beamed in. Sir, Ellie has gone down to her house on Earth. Let's talk to her. Sure, do we have their language? Andrew asked. Sir, you just have to let Crimson transfer the knowledge into you. Ellie answered. Okay, I agree this time. How about our clothes? Andrew asked. Atrunti appeared and held Andrew's hand. We can just go down in suits. Ellie said. Her outer uniform turned into a formal black business suit. Andrew turned to the suit type following Ellie. I will beam you down in front of her house near Seattle. Olive, get a body and come with us. Change into this suit type also, your white uniform is just too white. Andrew said. Olive beamed themselves in front of a large mansion, several meters from the front door. This is a big lot, this is probably 10 acres at least. And her house is huge. Ellie commented. As they approached the door, the lights turned on as they decloaked. A hollow of local Ellie appears. How may I help you? Ellie found a palm pad and put her hand. The door opened. Andrew knocked at the door before going in. Good evening, anybody home? Andrew asked around. David walked from a hall to their right. Hi honey, I didn't know you were expecting visitors. Hi Uncle Andrew, I could have dressed to the occasion. David moved over to Ellie and kissed her on the cheeks. David also shook Andrew's hand, then Olive's. Then Ellie grabbed David and embraced him tight, for more than a minute and some more. Stop smelling my husband. It was local Ellie. Ellie, he does smell good. Hi Ellie, this is Andrew and Olive. Local Ellie moved nearer to Ellie and embraced her, kissed on both cheeks and embraced her again. It took more than 3 minutes for them to separate. They were feeling each other. Then local Ellie released Ellie and went on to hug Andrew and Olive. Please come in and let's sit over there. Local Ellie said as she pointed to a den with formal classical chairs. She continues, so you're the lucky ones who got in. You were expecting us? Ellie asked. The large DG was my experiment. I became the foremost expert on these because I realized this could be our one chance to get the help we need when the time is right. My idea was to maintain a very large DG opening for the longest possible time. The window was open for more than a month. When did you get in? Yesterday, right before you closed the DG. Andrew said. My calculations were correct then. You see, the Maccabees have limited our DG's destination to go into certain addresses only. I told them I wanted to experiment on how long can a DG window open. What I did not tell them was that I calibrated our DG to move 200 years backwards within those addresses programmed into the machines. You must come from a dimension where the time stream is beyond 150 years ago. Yes, we did. How's Timmy and Elaine, Ellie? Dad and Mom live next door. But they went to Denver tonight to visit your friend Uncle Rogan and his wife. It's Uncle Rogan's birthday today. Uncle Andrew, you and your wife and kids went into hiding. Ellie, I felt your anxiety and fear. Why is this? Uncle Andrew, you and your wife and kids went into hiding, I believe underneath Shanghai, more than 5 years ago when the authorities tried to assassinate your wife. This event started my anxiety. I am sending people there now. Olive told Andrew in his implant. There are bugs in this house. The Norsets are tapping into them now and will hack into their systems. She told Andrew and Ellie. Their security network is really advanced and extensive. It's very hard to get in. It's extensive but not advanced. I am deploying our virus now. The Norsets have traced the network to be worldwide and centered in a military base in Germany. They are getting all the intel now. They have tapped into their relay drones and are moving into Planet Berlin and Planet Tokyo. All will be done by tomorrow. That's very good, Olive. Local Ellie said. Make sure our meeting here is not in their files, Olive. None of what we do will be in their files, Andrew. Ellie, your society looked so advanced. Like 250 years ahead of us. Yes, our timeline is advanced. There are no more countries on Earth. We are simply called Earthlings. We call the two planets Planet America and Planet Asia, but you call them Berlin and Tokyo. Earth is the least developed of the three planets and the poorest. Development here is slow in coming because of the rebels. The Maccabees decided to just leave Earth alone with its rebels and slowly kill those who are not with their mainstream thinking if they find them in the two planets. You are not the head of the science here? Bajeli asked. They have tried to promote me several times and I refused. I cited my family as my reason for not accepting. So I am just a mid-level researcher doing some experiments, but the best one is the dimension experiment. Olive, tell the Norsets to look for the bombs and booby traps across the planet. Andrew said. I have been hearing about this. How did you know? We know how they operate. Andrew said. We started 2 hours ago. We found thousands of the same type of bombs we have known in all the cities. If the bombs are set off, all the people and animals in the planet will die. Olive said. There could also be a hostage situation among their Planet America and Planet Asia. Bajeli said. Andrew, the ship commanders are sending hackers to those planets now. They will also be tagging all the Maccabees, their leaders, and ship personnel. We cannot move until we get intel from our people in the field. And this could be 2 weeks. Why, what's the problem? Andrew discussed the human planets, the Macs and Inkeys, the Marantais and Talonauts. Our action in this planet will have an effect on all the other planets if we are not careful. We may remove all the Maccabees from the 3 planets, but they could retaliate using other humans as well or other species or turn against the other humans. We have to be very careful in our plans in order to ensure complete success and to minimize casualties across your dimension. We may be seeing infestation in dozens of galaxies across 30 BLY of intergalactic space all the way to their galaxies. We need to secure all our people. And I guess they would be more than 100 years old on the average. Bajeli said. Andrew, all the people who have gone to the ships have tags on them. Local Ellie here has one while David does not. Can you remove it, Olive? Local Ellie asked. Olive opens her palm and something shines at the middle of her palm. The tag is very small, almost microscopic. She provided a hollow screen of the item on her hand magnified thousands of times. The network does not monitor its movement though. This one emits a signal the bugs all around us pick up then transmit to the network, like reporting that the tag is working and within the sensors area. Olive explained. I think you two should take a vacation and be out of the picture for the next month. Bajeli suggested. I will call my superiors and tell them that I want to take a vacation and rest for a month. Please put that thing inside this wallet, Olive. She put out a small purse. Olive did and the hollow disappeared. Ellie, we need to open a DG back to our world. Can you help us with this? Andrew asked local Ellie. We have a facility underneath the desert in New Mexico that stores these DGs. Some are under major repairs and some are just sitting there ready for deployment. Olive produced a map and local Ellie quickly pointed out the place. Let's nosy around the place. Bajeli said. Sure. Here, David, put this purse in your pocket. We'll be back in a few. She moved to kiss her husband. David waved at the group and saw them disappear. He stood up and went over to the bar to get a drink. At the New Mexico facility, underneath the desert. Are you sure they cannot see us? Local Ellie asked. Sure, we're sure. And you don't have to whisper. See those small guys, those are Trunties, those small humans are called Macs or Mackeys, those small lanky guys with various skin colors and designs are called Norsets. Bajeli said. Local Ellie could see dozens of aliens around them. Some were tagging, some were hacking into equipment and some were just touching the people inside the facility. Local Ellie led the group around and when they hit what looked like a wall, the DGs are stored in the other side of this massive steel door. This door slides down and there's another similar door down a long hallway. Ellie held her hand and they walked right through. Andrew and Olive followed. After going through the second door, they could see several dozen Macs and Norsets trying to study the equipment on their right. The good ones are over here on the left beyond the horizontal bars. Those on the right are for repairs. She walked over to her left and waved the two to follow. Andrew was on her right and he moved over to look at one of the DG machines stored for repairs. It was huge. The size of a 40-foot container van. One of the Norsets approached Ellie and, the electronics are not very advanced. Our DGs are far more sophisticated than these. We have tagged 3 of the machines beyond the bars. I recommend we take the one at the very end of this warehouse. We can TP the contents out but not the container itself, so they would see all the containers are inside the warehouse. The DGs have tags in them. Olive, can you remove the tags and place them inside the containers? Local Ellie asked. The tags have been identified and removed. Sir, can we now beam the DG out? Beige Ellie asked. Andrew nodded and looked at Olive. The DG is in your cargo bay, Ellie. Olive continued, the Macs found Andrew and his family. They have tags in them. So the Maccabees know where their rebels are but are not pursuing them. Why? Andrew asked local Ellie. They don't care, really, as long as they are in the planet. It would be bad PR for them to capture a rebel and prosecute them. An advanced society would be forced to question and understand why the rebels are so and look for answers. So they let them hide. I am sure there are spies among them, as there are spies in the places I work at. And they have the bombs around, so when they get tired of the whole operation, just blow the whole planet. Beige Ellie said. They cannot possibly kill all the people in the planet. They have, countless times. They have destroyed a planet with several billions of inhabitants who are also Maccabees countless times. They will not even flinch when they kill all the living beings on Earth. He looked at local Ellie, who seemed shocked. Does that mean that those in the other planets are more pro-Maccabee than those on Earth? Beige Ellie asked. Absolutely, and this will become a problem when you remove the Maccabees. Local Ellie said. Let's go back to my ship. Sir? Beige Ellie asked. At Ellie's cargo bay where Olive beamed the DG, Andrew could see dozens of Trunties, Norsets, Inkeys and Macs studying the equipment. I have all the information in my chip. Local Ellie said. You just need to go through Crimson and we will get all the information you have. Olive suggested. Ellie then explained to local Ellie what Crimson does and local Ellie agreed. She disappeared. So the plan is to DG back to our world and open up DGs from the Talonauts all the way to the Maccabee and move our people in. Andrew said. I am asking Crimson to disseminate all the DG information from local Ellie to our DG teams so we can come out with a portable range modification upgrade to our existing DGs. This way all our ships from across the dimensions would have them. Beige Ellie said. You're as quick as my Ellie. We have always been quick. We're all essentially the same persons, sir. And she also calls you Uncle Andrew. How crazy is that? My Ellie started it and I guess all other Ellies would do it whether you tell them or not. Andrew, we have found more than 200,000 of our Armada people. All were hiding in various places. Billy is not dead and Tony is with him. We found Alan, Eric, Roger, Linda, Jenny, Hyrule and almost all our major officers. All are more than 100 years old but they only look 10 years older. Get the top 100 and beam them at the reception hall. Make sure the tags are all gone. Come on Ellie, let's go. At Andrew's reception hall, Andrew and Ellie moved to the floating floor and stood waiting for the Armada people to be beamed in. Billy and Tony appeared as holos beside Andrew and Ellie. We have made contact with the Crimson planet. We will probably take in 30 Crimsons and 30,000 Trunties. Then we'll head to the Mac galaxies. Billy said. Good. Stay here for a while. We are beaming in Armada people from Earth. Billy nodded. Olive, can you tell Linda, Eric, Roger, Jenny to hollow over please? Andrew said. Linda, Eric, Jenny and Roger appeared as holos beside Beige Ellie. Boss, why are you wearing suits? Linda asked. Andrew switched to his white cassock. Beige Ellie did likewise while Olive switched back to her usual white with a big red number. Linda and the other holos changed to their regular cassocks. Do you want me to get our people now? Olive asked. Wait, I want some smoke around us so that they would see us floating. Andrew, it will mess up the optics of the holos. Never mind Olive. Light and sound would do. As soon as the people appeared, Olive produced some light and sound. Andrew found the sound not loud enough and the light not bright enough. Greetings Earthlings. We came to save your world from the evil oppressors. Local Andrew walked in front of the crowd. Nice costumes. How do we know you are not the Maccabees up to their dirty tricks again? Andrew told Olive to beam local Andrew beside him. That's easy. Come here, hold my hand. Andrew told local Andrew. Why don't I just hold your neck? The neck hold is fine as long as you promise not to kill me. Promise first. He looked at local Andrew who nodded a yes. Do you promise not to kill me? Local Andrew moved near Andrew who was sitting and held Andrew's neck. Sure, I promise. Wait, I can feel you. I can feel your anger. Who are you angry at? I am angry at you. Okay, you're real. He released Andrew's neck. Andrew stood. Okay, here's what happened. He related how local Ellie pretended to experiment on the length of time that a DG window may remain open. That by chance they went through the window. Then they decided to nosy around. Later they found and talked to local Ellie. She is now inside Crimson and will be out in a few minutes. Ellie said. So you decided to remove the Maccabees? Local Andrew asked. Actually, we would have to deal with them wherever they are all the way to their galaxies. Andrew said. I don't believe you. How about a bet? If we do as we say, you can kiss your double's ass, and if not, he can kiss yours. Linda said, but local Andrew did not react. Local Andrew held Andrew's neck again. No, he's too confident but is pretending not to. And this means I would lose. Okay, I believe you. Will you two stop clowning around? Vicky said loudly. Oh hi Vic. It's your husband's fault. He wants to annoy me. No, I'm not. I was just trying to be sure. Stop. She shouted this time. Ellie, will you start talking? Andrew stopped talking. She looked at her husband. Beige Ellie laughed, thanks Auntie Vicky. Our plan is to create DG modification kits so we can open DG windows into our world. You see, your dimension is at least 200 years ahead of us and you all are more than 100 years old. We are not even 50 years old. Except for Sir Andrew and Sir Alan. Then we DG back and tell our Armada to DG into various galaxies all the way to the Maccabee galaxies. We intend to remove the Maccabee Emperor and his minions and install a new set of leaders. We are still gathering intel on the extent of the Maccabee infestation across the galaxies. We have done this several times before in several galaxies and we are good at doing these things. The key here is that we have to create the Armada in this dimension so you can maintain the peace. What we would like you all to do is to freshen up, wear the Armada body armor and then the Armada outer body uniform, then we'll all meet at the mission hall. Andrew said. You all must go through Crimson so you get all the intel you need to do your work. Beige Ellie added. Andrew agreed, yes, good idea. Let's meet at the mission hall, say in 2 hours? Several Olives and Toms appeared and escorted the guests to their quarters. Olive, beam Andrew and his family to my stateroom when they're done. I have designated them to wear creamy white with black accented color Armada uniforms. It may get confusing for our people since we have people wearing different colors. Good idea, Olive. Beige Ellie said. After a few minutes Olive beamed local Ellie to the mess hall where Andrew and Beige Ellie were having dinner. Andrew and Beige Ellie did not talk to her. Andrew just motioned her to sit. Olive beamed ice cream in front of her. Local Ellie got the ice cream spoon and started eating. Sir, I think we should investigate the 2 other planets. We have to ensure the humans would still be united. I think the 2 would be more pro-Maccabee while Earth would be less. They may require a different approach to the issue. Beige Ellie said. The way I look at it is that they have become loose, soft and relied so much on the Maccabees to protect them against interplanetary threats. If you remove this security blanket, they would be unnerved. Of course, their understanding of their universe has been affected by the Maccabee mindset and propaganda. It would be very hard to change this mindset that has been with them for more than 200 years. But you know, that is not our problem. Our main task is to remove the enemy wherever they are in this dimension. Andrew said. Local Ellie finally broke her silence, at least even if you leave, we would not kill each other. Right, the civility would still be there. Once we create the Armada here, we can be comfortable that we can leave them alive and free from threats. Beige Ellie said. Our main task in the next 2 weeks would be to ensure that people would be safe when we remove the enemy. There may be threats we have not encountered and we would end up with a lot of dead people. Andrew said. I understand. Local Ellie said. My people tell me that Crimson have communicated to them the feeling it had and the direction we should be headed. They relied almost solely on the information on your chip. By the way, Crimson removed your chip since you would never need it ever again. Yes, I was looking for it and I could not access it. Isn't it amazing that we can know all of what several Ellies in different dimensions have known and experienced? Yes, absolutely amazing. Local Ellie said. And it's always people like you who make the most critical decisions that would help your people in the grandest ways. Why don't you get some food? We would be meeting with your people and it would take a bit of time. Andrew said. Local Ellie nodded. I like to have dinner with David. Olive, can you ask him to come over please? Tell him to leave the purse on the bed. The next 2 weeks were busy days for the Armada. Andrew worked with local Andrew to form the Armada. There was a continuous stream of Armada people going through Crimson. Andrew's people conducted small group training according to their assigned task in the local Armada. Meanwhile, Ellie and local Ellie worked with the Armada DG scientists to create the modules that would enable the ships to adjust the time band where the DG would be operating in. At the mission room, Andrew, Beige Ellie, local Ellie and Olive walked in. Local Andrew, local Linda, local Jenny, local Alan, local Eric, local Roger, and several other local Armada people were sitting in front. Then Andrew's people appeared as holos. Linda, Alan, Eric, Roger, Tony and Jenny just stood at the left and right of Andrew. Who will start? Andrew looked at Bejeli. As usual, Bejeli stepped forward, a few feet in front of Andrew facing the mission hall. We have been working on our DG time band modules for the past 2 weeks and I want you all to know that thanks to local Ellie and her chip, we expect to finish in a few days. We still need to test it but we believe the modules will work. We designed the modules so they could just connect to your ship DG and your AIs can control them. After testing them we would produce a lot of these for our ships back home. As you all know, we need our people to DG in from various points in the galaxies. We have to send these modules to our people across 40 BLY so they can do their thing. Andrew walked to Bejeli's left and, time is very critical here. The modules would have to reach the area commanders and get installed. Then our people at the Maccabee Galaxy's side must assess the lay of the land. I expect Billy would be able to remove the Maccabees in more than a month. The problem here is that, as in a lot of species, their society may have been damaged by the long reign of an evil emperor and his minions. Linda walked to Ellie's right. A hollow of the human planets all the way to the Romits appeared in front of them. Linda proceeded to explain, what Roger and I did was to separate all our ships and head off to the target areas to cover as much ground as we can. The human planets are in yellow light, the red would be the Romits, the green are the Jectinox planets, here are the Duggies, then over here are the Bourbons, the slave planets here and the Rotnamies here. The Rosies and John's galaxies are here. She paused to let the audience absorb the lay of the land. These areas here are all controlled by the Maccabees. They have aligned, actually, controlled, the Romit Emperor to launch the expansion campaign. They have aided the Romit Emperor by giving them the plasma technology, faster engines, fusion energy generators and field information. They are also part of the slave trade. Even the Duggies were overwhelmed by the Maccabees. The Bourbons, Maccarees and Slanders were not affected, not yet. They will be once the Maccabees turn their sights on them. Now there is an ongoing war between the Rosies and the Rayons aided by the Maccabees. It's not going very well for the Rosies. I believe that we can remove the Maccabees easily. We can remove the Romit Emperor and his people and install the queens. But the real issue is that they have damaged the societies of those planets and species they have conquered. These species need a lot of help. Something we just cannot provide right after we remove the leadership. Alan stepped beside Linda, my turn. Okay, right after the Crimson planet, Tony and I separated. He went to the Norsets while I went all the way to the Mac galaxies. The Macs have Maccabees with them but they were not dominated by the Maccabees. The Maccabees seemed to understand that they could not control the Macs so they decided to befriend them. They also traded technologies with them. The Macs are wary though since they can read their thoughts so the relationship did not progress from being formal trade and technology exchange. This wariness caused the Macs to withhold the transfer of a lot of their more advanced technologies. This attitude angered a lot of the Maccabees but since they cannot exterminate all the Macs, they just let it go. At the end of the day, we can just remove the Maccabees from the Mac galaxies and everything will be fine. The Norsets have the usual Mort problem. But this time they lost more planets, 22, and I believe their fighting capabilities are diminishing fast. We can easily solve their issues and we can move a few backup planets back to help in the refugee work. One of my ships went to the Bofangs to investigate. I will have the intel in a week. But we can assume the Bofangs were also devastated by the Morts. You could say it would be more of the same, it's just that the evil has persisted and the suffering got more intense, for a very long time. Tony added. Eric walked from near the door to the front of the hall. Okay, Jenny and I were tasked to get Roden. Fortunately, he was still in the planet. He's grown older and have in fact dominated the planet with Inky technology. Still he was glad to leave. Jenny split right after and went over to the Marinti galaxies while I brought Roden to the Inky galaxies. As expected the Maccabees have molded themselves in the Inky society. After removing all the leaders, they now control the Grand Council and all the planet governors. Now they have favored the Inkys rather than the Intis and Furlets and this is something that we can use to unite the three when we remove them. I don't think that there would be a lot of issues here and I believe Roden can unite his species. As far as the Marintis are concerned, Jenny saw the same issues. We just would do a Marinti on the Marintis and that's it. Let's give a round of applause to our forward Armada. Andrew said. The crowd cheered and clapped their hands. So now you see the lay of the land. I provided possible scenarios during your first time here in the mission room. Now we see the real state of affairs. And it's the same bad picture. Now as Armada people your task is before you. Once we open a DG from our world, my people will start the Armada at the human planets here, at the Talonot galaxies, at the Norsets and at the Inkeys. Billy will start an Armada from his side of the Maccabee galaxies. Normally all would need about 3 months to form and establish themselves in their areas. After this we would unite these various armadas under local Andrew here and headed by a council of their leaders headed by Roden. So the purpose of setting the Armada as planned is to make sure that after removing the bad guys, that the galaxies can protect themselves from bad guys. Local Ellie said. Yes. But always remember that as Armada members you have to conduct yourselves in the highest level of professionalism, service and expertise, a lot of drama for the movies and a lot of laughs. The mission hall laughed. The task is set out for you and it may look easy enough to understand, but the tasks are really hard to do. It's really a lot of work, from the Armada. You have the benefit of hindsight from our experience, even if you are 200 years ahead of us. Beijeli said, and then she looked at Local Andrew. Local Andrew stood. For the past 2 weeks we have slowly built the Armada to about 140,000 people. We understand the task and we know it's not going to be easy. We understand that all the various galaxies must be coordinated and that the Armadas in these parts should be created. We understand also that time is not on our side. We have to work fast. It's a good thing the Crimson provided us with the knowledge we need in our work. We have also, using our new abilities, went to the capital planet Asia and investigated, tagged and bombed the ships. We also installed the virus especially made to disable their shields and ship C and C. Our next task is to do the same with planet America. Again, this would take another week or so. Overall I believe, that at the rate our Armada is developing, that we would be on stream and able to be left alone in 3 months or after we have dealt with our side of the galaxies all the way to the Romets and the Rosies. He sat down. You need to put drama in all the things you say or do. You guys must learn to do this. Otherwise you will just be a regular Armada, heroic, famous, legendary, brave and whatever else you would be known. But you will not be known as dramatic and funny. This is a directive you must understand and follow. Do this and your work would be complete. Not do this and you will not receive a passing grade. Andrew said. The mission hall laughed. For the next several hours, Local Andrew's people asked Andrew's people about their work and would-be work. Andrew has agreed with his people that they should start heading back to their position between planet Earth and planet Tokyo. Then next week was more of the same. All work and study for the local Armada. Local Andrew and his Armada have finished their work at planet America. Local Ellie has also finished deploying a virus that would deactivate the bombs scattered in the 3 human planets. Beige Ellie and Local Ellie have finished with the DG module and modified their ships with it. After testing the modules and getting drone reports from the other side, they have begun producing the modules in the hundreds. Beige Ellie beamed to Andrew's bridge and saw Local Andrew and Local Ellie there. Olive was standing beside Andrew's chair. My people are ready to open a large window to a position near our planet Los Angeles. Beige Ellie said. Go ahead, Ellie. Andrew said. Ellie looked at Olive and nodded. Local Ellie could see 10 windows open in front of them. Send out the probes, please. Ellie told Olive. After a few minutes, it is our planet Los Angeles. Olive said. The 2 Ellies and 2 Andrews cheered and gave a high five to each other. I have communicated to the 2 Brads and sent our intel to them. I told them 10 of our ships will move in with the DG modules. The rest of us would be moving in once our Linda, Tony, and the other groups arrive in 2 days. They could see several ships moving in through the DG towards planet Los Angeles. After an hour Ellie closed the window. That went extremely well. I congratulate you Ellie and you Ellie. Good job. Andrew said and shook their hands. Tony reports that a DG just opened 240 MLY near Junie's planet towards Earth, 60 MLY from his position. Several hollow screens appear. Tony appeared, boss, 10 DG windows opened and several hundred ships went through, very fast and in just over an hour, they closed the windows. Final count puts the ships at 920. All Maccabee-style ships. But as you can see they have various types of ships. Some are cargo, some civilian transport mixed in with the Vintas. Our scan shows these ships are packed to the roof with people. They are now flying towards the direction of several gas planets. Some have started to go in. I have sent probes to the bridge of the main ships. We will get to see them in a few minutes. Linda, Eric, Alan, Roger and Jenny appeared as holos. Local Alan, Local Eric, Local Jenny beamed in front of Local Ellie. Several screens popped up showing scenes in the ships. Beige Ellie exclaimed, "What, another Ellie?" Local Ellie laughed. "I cannot believe this." Beige Ellie said. "Scan shows all are humans. No Maccabees or any other alien. I can see Eric and Alan. Oh, there's me. Linda said. I don't know if I can stand another Andrew. Local Andrew said as he pointed to one screen. They all laughed. There's me and there's Tiffany. Oh, there's Billy and he's not dead. Jenny said and they all laughed again. The taggers have left to tag the commanders. Tony said. Olive, tell the rest of the ships to fly to within beaming range of those ships. Andrew said. Yes, Andrew. We will be in beaming range in 2 days. After 2 days,